Good evening and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, which means you've tuned into our Call of Cthulhu 7th edition stream. This is most likely going to be the finale of our second arc, Fingask. Next week we will be taking a week out, and then the following week, we will come back with the third and final story in our anthology series, yet to be named. Hopefully the finale this evening. Very exciting. So without further ado, here is our stream manager John to say hello.
Hello.
Hi, John. So John will be putting images on screen for us and doing rules clarifications and that kind of thing in the secret chat for us that nobody can see apart from us. Also most of the artwork is John's. In fact, maybe all of the artwork that'll be on screen is John's. So thanks for that, John. It's all wonderful.
That's quite all right.
And we'll see you in a bit.
See you.
Below the video, we have links to our social media, so Twitter and Instagram, our YouTube if you're watching us on Twitch, or our Twitch if you're watching us on YouTube, our Discord, which you can join and talk to us about all things tabletop role-playing games and otherwise, and our Patreon, which gives you multiple different levels that you can sign up to support us, with multiple rewards ranging from access to secret bits of our Discord, where you get behind the scenes information, all the way to having Matt, who runs other games on our channel, run a game for you and your friends once a month. Matt's very good at running games. You should sign up for that one. Promo stuff, other things on the channel. Tuesday, which is tomorrow, Blades in the Dark. That's every Tuesday at the moment. Every Wednesday is Coriolis at the moment, which is a free league system set in space. It's very good. The first Saturday of every month is a different one-shot run by different people with different players. So far we've had Alien, Troika, Morkborg, Fiasco, The Expanse, and the Saturday just gone, I ran Honey Heist. It was very fun. That'll be on YouTube soon for you to check out. And bi-weekly on a Sunday, Matt runs a game as a guest spot on the Free League Twitch of Simba Room. So the next one of those is on the 18th of July. That's all of that. Let's bring on Matt, who plays Samuel, to tell us a bit about what happened last session.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Samuel's experience of the last session?
Yeah, sure. So we were in the basement with a book in front of us. If you've watched the last episode, the book's text was doing something quite interesting. So it's about 4:45 at this point, I think, and we've got about 45 minutes to an hour before we think there's an event at the circus. So not a lot of time, but obviously we've found this book that when we look at it through the magnifying glass that we've been carrying with us, the ink and the text sort of warps and shifts and changes. Basically, we are kind of looking back and forth at the book through the lens, bemused by this completely. Samuel seems to think it looks a bit like Latin, but it's not Latin. It's also not English. But the longer we look at it, the more we just seem to comprehend it somehow. So we are able to kind of stare at the shapes, and somehow the message gets through to us in terms of what it means. So Eliza's kind of flicking through, but then Samuel notices that he's understanding the pages, and so they go back and they look at one page in particular, which seems to suggest that the page is a mechanism for contacting an extraterrestrial being. They look at the next page, and it's a mechanism for contacting something else, but they're not quite sure what it is. So everybody's understandably quite bemused by this, and there's some speculation that maybe the noises they heard on the first night were related to this contacting mechanism. The book is on a pulpit, and there's nothing else that they can see unusual in the room at that point. But Eliza then remembers that they also realized last time Sir John disappeared into this area, he also then reappeared outside the house. So she had an inclination that there was something else to find here. And so the group have a look around while thinking about what to do with the book, and note a hidden corridor in the room as well.
Yeah, great. So let's bring Sam on, who plays Albert. Hi, Sam. So Sam, obviously, unfortunately, was not with us last week, but Albert remained.
Albert was there. Albert was there. I was there in spirit.
So yeah, do you want to discuss the tunnel with us?
Yeah, sure. So the hidden tunnel was perfectly fine to access once viewed through the thingy. My brain's gone blank.
The glass.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. But I think you had to look through it to get through to the tunnel. Is that correct? Same as getting through the door in the first place. Yeah. Then the group went through into the tunnel, and it was just kind of a straight dark tunnel with no obvious light going through it. It seemed to have been cut through the ground. It was kind of supported with big wood beams. Then we all went down the tunnel for a while, kind of looking to see if there's anything interesting. There wasn't really much to be found, particularly distinctive in the tunnel, if I remember correctly. It was very long and dark. And I think there was I think, what's his name? Oh God, I'm forgetting all the names today.
Edmund?
Yeah, Edmund made a little mark in the wall. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to kind of remember distance-wise. And then not long after that, I believe it was myself, being the excellent spot hiddener that I am, found a trapdoor above where we were traveling. So Willie opened it up while I pointed my gun. There seemed to be just darkness on the other side. And then I think we helped Samuel up to have a look. And after a moment and handing through the torch, he realized that it was inside the fort. So that was presumably the way that Sir John had been getting out. Samuel came back through. It seemed like that was just a well-hidden exit rather than being mysterious, and mystically hidden somehow. And then the group kind of head down the tunnel for a while longer. But it seemed to just keep going on and on and on, perfectly, not like perfectly straight, but certainly in a straight line. And I think eventually the group kind of gave up, thinking this is going to take too long, not knowing where it's going to go, and head back out via the hill fort, I believe, and
yes,
back up to the house.
Yeah, great. So if Steve can come on, who plays Edmund. Steve, do you want to tell us about what you all discovered when you returned to the house?
Sure. So we discovered that there was a library somewhere in the house that we hadn't seen previously. So whilst Edmund was cleaning up and removing any evidence of having trekked through tunnels, he managed to find the library and then invited, I think it was Edmund, Eliza, and Samuel. We spent a little bit of time before our appointment with the circus looking through the library, and we found various things. So Eliza was looking through the local papers, found some articles that were written by herself and Thomas Walker, but most interestingly, perhaps, didn't find anything regarding any of the strange goings-on at the estate. So nothing about Thomas's disappearance and nothing about the recent redundancies in the papers. So it seems that someone has control over what gets printed, maybe. Samuel was looking around for other books of a similar sort of nature to the tome that we found in the hidden basement. Didn't find anything like that, but did find a couple of books of Jules Verne science fiction. But also Edmund was looking for various bits and pieces, and Samuel helped with that. He also found details on some of the pagan rituals that might have been carried out at the hill fort. And it seems like they were some of these rituals were them trying to or being able to contact a god of some description. And the rituals involved dancing and sacrifices and lighting fires. And Eliza is drawn to the idea that, to some eyes, perhaps the circus might fit some of those some of those indicators. So that's a little bit disturbing. In terms of family history, Edmund was looking up more about the trauma that caused Sir John to want to turn the gas off in the basement every night, and discovered that there was a fire, but it was about 70 years ago, and happened to his great-grandparent, which is likely before Sir John's birth, which again kind of raises questions as to why he's traumatized by this, or whether it was just a fabrication. I guess it could have been. And finally, a little bit more information on the hair that we keep seeing sight of, and as well as being some sort of trickster that likes to play jokes on travellers, apparently it's also a shapeshifter. So, fun. So after that, we go down and have another drink, because I think we deserved it at that point.
Yeah, great. So if Inga can come on, who plays Eliza. Hi, Inga. So tell us a little about the circus precursor.
Yeah, so we decide to head down to the circus. Albert's not so keen, so he decides to take up a vantage point that he took up before when Samuel went in to check things out. So the rest of us head into the circus, and he stays sort of on the perimeter looking down. Samuel sees a performer that he'd met previously and asks for a recommendation, and they suggest the exotic animals, the Hall of Mirrors, or the contortionists. And having seen enough lions and things recently, we decide against the exotic animals and head first of all to the Hall of Mirrors. At first, it's just kind of the normal sort of thing you'd expect to see in a Hall of Mirrors at a circus, the things that kind of distort your appearance, make you look bigger, taller, skinny, whatever. But then suddenly we kind of turn a corner and everything goes really quiet. And we're surrounded by, I guess, like infinity mirrors on all sides. We're just seeing like thousands and thousands of mirror images of ourselves all around in a complete circle. So we roll a sanity. Samuel and Eliza get utterly lost, but Edmund manages to spot a little gap in the mirrors and find the exit and helps lead the rest of us out back outside of the tent with the Hall of Mirrors. So we then decide to go and check out the contortionists. And so they're up on raised platforms, and they're folding and contorting themselves in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. But when Eliza looks at the final contortionist, she kind of notices that they seems to be in like impossible knots, like even for a contortionist, something that was like impossible positions to be getting into. And then she kind of catches his eye, and it seems like he's just screaming for help. And then she sees that the face looks like Ian Tanner, who was the guy, the member of staff who announced them on the first night when everybody arrived. So he starts kind of approaching towards the edge of the platform, and then Eliza blinks, and then everything is totally normal. It's just a normal contortionist. It's like some young woman. It doesn't look anything like Ian Tanner. Nothing kind of unusual other than it being, normal for a circus, I guess. So Eliza tells the others she's pretty shaken by all of this. And Edmund tries to take a bit of a peek at the performers through the magnifying glass again, but he doesn't see anything unusual from that. It was just that little flash that Eliza had before. So we talk about whether we want to go to see Albert before the big top performance at 6:30. But we decide that Edmund decides he wants to check out the tent first, and just sort of have a peek in the big top to see what it looks like before the performance kicks off. So we kind of find a position. Edmund lifts up the flap of the tent, and just before he can turn on the torch to take a look, a spotlight shines onto the center of the stage, and Edmund sees the hair, and that was where we left things.
So, to begin this week, let's have some conversations between Albert and Willie in the interim period where all this is happening to you.
Yeah, so I think we were up on the hill. Albert was absolutely decisive about not going to the circus, and I feel like he didn't want to tell any of you what to do, but he was definitely giving the impression that he thought you were all fools for deciding to go to this show when it was clearly some sort of horrible trap. So he's watching nearby because he feels like he should be here, but he's not happy about any of this at all. He's definitely brought a bottle of whiskey with him, which he is drinking between smoking his cigar and checking for the 50th time that he's got all his shells ready and his shotgun is loaded. And of course, sharing it with Willie. How is Willie doing?
Willie is kind of sat, keeping an eye in the same direction that Albert is, but also sort of every few seconds, similar to the amount of time that you would check your mirrors if you were driving. He's kind of glancing over his shoulder to keep an eye on Albert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at what point, what do we see down there? I've been kind of trying to keep an eye on these three. Can I see them now? Have they just gone into the big top? Have I seen them do that? Are they in one of the other tents? Or?
So yeah, you see them work their way in and out of each of the tents.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to have any kind of conversations with Willie in that period,
let's say I think we probably haven't said too much while they've been wandering around in and out of the tents, because I feel like nothing particularly eventful seems to have happened. But then I see you all kind of sneaking into the big top, and I'm just like, because obviously I'm probably aware that it's not time for that to be open yet, given all flaps and things are closed. I just look over to Willie like, that's not a good idea. Takes another swig of drink.
No, it doesn't seem to be a particularly good idea, considering everything that's going on.
This is all some kind of... all the people they're bringing in. It all seems so wrong, doesn't it?
Hi. It seems... Well, I'm not a particularly educated man, but whatever the opposite word is for whimsical, I would say.
Never liked the damn circus anyway. Drinks more. You know, Willie, something tells me it has to be stopped.
Okay, let's cut down to Edmund at the circus entrance. So the spotlight has come on and there's a hair in the center of the big top. At that exact moment, the wind begins to howl and the heavens open with rain. The sort of tarpaulin door of the big top that you've pulled open is ripped from your hands by the wind, and flies open and then slaps shut and then opens again. And in the period when it has closed and opened back up, the inside of the big top is now fully lit, and there is no hair to be seen. And then out of the main front entrance, you hear the voice of the ringmaster shouting, "Come in! Come in! The show is not quite ready, but I can't leave you out here in this." And you see kind of people tromping through what is now an instantly muddy floor to get into the circus.
Well, I think I'm probably going to try and get out of the way if I can. I don't want to get pulled into the center of all of this. So foiled.
Yeah, so they're going. You're kind of at the side, and they're going through
right.
the front
Okay.
entrance.
Right. I just for a moment I thought I was going to be able to look at that hair through the lens, but no such luck. What do we do?
Wait, you saw the hair again?
Yes. Just for a moment.
And now they're bringing everybody into this.
Yes.
Where's Albert and that gun?
We were going to go and meet him. Should we? The weather isn't very good, but I'd prefer to, I think, be outside than in there somehow.
I agree.
No complaints from me.
Okay, then I think we'll
Find us some more.
Albert, you and Willie see all of this taking place. So the weather obviously affects you. It's not an extremely small microclimate above the big top. So
My cigar's gone out.
You see people stampeding into the circus, essentially, and Edmund, Eliza, and Samuel kind of at the other door.
Albert momentarily swears at the cigar, looks forlornly at it, throws it on the floor. Do I see Edmund, Samuel, and Eliza leave?
Yes.
Okay, cool. In that case, I will... Presumably, has everyone else pretty much gone then from the area? There's no one else hanging around outside?
Yeah, after a couple of minutes, everybody is in the big top.
And presumably these guys are kind of heading up at that point as well. Okay, I will nod to Willie and we'll wander down. Given that no one is outside so much anymore, I don't mind wandering down as much.
Okay. You kind of you meet up.
Miss Smith, you had a gun, didn't you? Mr. Carter, I can't remember. Did I? Well, I probably have. I know because I have it on me. I gave you back that pistol, did I?
I have your pistol, yes.
Good. And I'll just look at Mr. Thomas and then not say anything else. So everyone's in there now, I suppose.
They are, yes.
Perfectly fated this all is.
Mr. Carter saw something in there.
Well, we've all seen things in the last few minutes. But
Albert
yes,
actually just laughs out loud for a second when you say saw something in there.
I think the hair was probably the least of it.
Damned hair.
But the circus is involved somehow. There are weird things happening here too. It's not just cat.
The head of a little cat. And Jonny, presumably we all heard the ringmaster, so we can assume that the ringmaster was in the big top as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I preface many things these days this afternoon with I may sound completely mad, but we've just learned that this hare is a trickster, and you said you saw him. You saw the hare, and then suddenly the ringmaster was there.
Yes.
Maybe the hare really is connected to the circus.
And well, the other thing we just read is that the hare is, well, in legends, of course, that this hare is a shapeshifter. And I believe, now then, didn't you have, a number of you, didn't you see strangeness with both the hare and the ringmaster? In terms of sort of slowness of time, or I forget.
The hare, I should have shot it and I didn't. I hit the damn thing straight on, but nothing else other than the staring. Certainly the ringmaster defies all logic.
And yes, the ringmaster was certain. I mean, aside from being a very peculiar and awful fellow, but he definitely seemed a bit odd in his manner. The thing seemed just a little bit off, not quite right.
There was something uncanny about how he moved.
Yes.
Did you see Sir John or anyone else down here?
No.
Not yet.
They haven't returned? Strange.
Maybe they were just coming in time for the main show at the big top. Maybe they weren't planning to attend the rest of the festivities. In which case, there's still a little more time for them to appear.
As you're saying that, you actually see a small group of people. You can't tell from this distance and the lighting who exactly it is, but you see a small group of people sort of running from the house end into the big top.
Running?
Yeah, the weather, you would presume. More so than being chased by another lion. It's probably the rain.
Why not both?
Running on more legs than they should have. As far as I see it, this needs, one way or another, we need to have a way of ending all this. All those people from the village, they might be innocent. They probably have no idea what's going on here. They're just being dragged into it. This is all some kind of, what did you say, who was it? One of you read in the library something about a ritual?
Well, I think that was Mr. Thomas found that particular book. It does, yes. This I don't understand any of it, but this goes beyond anything that could be considered even remotely normal. And yes, there is a strange atmosphere to all of this.
Mr. Moore, when you say we need to find a way to end this, what do you have in mind?
Yes.
Well, I think Albert looks down at his gun and stays silent for a moment and then says, given what I saw happen to the rabbit, I'm not sure what good it's going to do shooting the damn ringmaster, although I'd love to. Perhaps if we could stop the place that it's going to happen, bring down the tent or something, that might stop it. Everyone will be so distracted anyway, I'm sure it wouldn't be possible to continue.
Well, certainly causing a distraction might well be a good approach, but
the ringmaster didn't seem in the least bit phased when you shot at his horse while he was on it.
I don't think it's going to do much good against him, as mad as that sounds to say.
And lions wandering around on their hind legs is apparently completely normal. I mean, how do you distract a circus?
Let Sir John bleeds, though. Albert's been drinking.
I'm not entirely convinced he isn't somewhat innocent in all of this. Well, innocent is perhaps too strong a word, but manipulated, perhaps.
You heard what he said about his man.
You're right.
Wanted him dead. Damnable.
So Samuel's going to look really nervous when he says this, kind of looking at the rain and briefly looking at Edmund. We could start a distraction in the castle. No permanent damage, but might be enough to stop the proceedings.
Do you think the circus lot will care if there's something going on in Fingask?
If they're in the middle of some horrific ritual or something, it won't matter, will it, surely? We'll be entranced by him or something.
We could call the alarm. I'm not going to dance around it anymore. We could start a fire and sound the alarm.
Think it would work in this rain?
Well, there is the gas system, but well, I'm sure you can understand my relationship with fire is not. It did not work out well in the past.
There's always the chance that they won't even consider it, though. What happens if everyone's so enraptured by this terrifying ritual or whatever's going to happen in there that no one even blinks an eyelid?
Have we all lost our minds enough that we're seriously contemplating setting this place alight? I know that there have been some strange things going on here, and believe me, I really want the answers to what is going on and what on earth has been happening to us all. But this is stepping across a line.
We've stepped across stranger lines today.
I agree with Mr. Thomas. I don't think that line is far enough.
We're going beyond curiosity and very firmly into a very particular course of action.
You saw that was dropped for us, the magnifying glass. We're well beyond curiosity at this point. We're involved in this.
But who dropped it?
Involved in this. That damn hare wants us involved in this.
I still, who dropped it, and why?
It doesn't matter now. We're here. It's all going to happen. Whatever's going to happen now, we need to make up our mind. Are we going to end this or not?
Whatever happens here is very much determined by our actions. We play a very big part now in what happens if you're discussing the kinds of things that you're discussing. This is bringing down the tent even would potentially harm all of those innocent people inside. Who knows? We don't know what we're dealing with here.
So what do you suggest?
This is beyond where I normally step. I'm used to reporting on the things that others do.
And we damn well have
could-
to do something.
We could release some of the animals, maybe the the smaller ones or the gentler ones. I do wonder whether this George Smith is trying to play Sir John, and did Sir John drop that lens for us? Was he intending us to find the book?
And if so, was it to trap us or was it a cry for help? We seem to think this book is important.
I was about to ask Jonny, does it sound like it's starting? And that's the answer. Whatever happens, we need to make up our mind if we're going to stop it or we're going to let it be.
If we think this book is important, perhaps we can use that as leverage, as some sort of, maybe that's the distraction, threatening that. Or
there is another option that I hesitate to mention. We can read that book. We did read the text on that page. What if
there's a way to call something, there's a way to put it back that we might discover.
We could burn the book.
If that gives us the answer to putting things back in the rightful place, then we'd be losing something important.
Our risk here is that you don't need the book. Maybe you just need the knowledge it contains. I do feel like we need to intervene.
I agree.
But how do we stop how do we stop a shape-shifting hare that might be a bulletproof ringmaster? How do we?
We don't need to stop him. All we need to do is stop what he's trying to do. All these people, we can stop them being involved in it one way or another, surely. That's why I think bringing the tent down is the best idea. I know what you mean, Miss Smith. It might injure people, but it's better than whatever hellish thing he's planning.
You think we can bring this thing down?
I look to my right and say, look, there's guy ropes here. Everyone's inside. No one would see. We could start cutting them. Maybe with a good tug on the far side, the thing would start to shift. Perhaps someone inside could try and leverage some of the posts. I think.
But then what? Just leave?
Perhaps we wait and see.
If we're the only ones drenched and outside, and as this thing starts to topple, they'll know it was us. We'll need to be prepared for that. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but they'll know.
What do you think, Mr. Thomas?
I think I'm not convinced that is enough, but if we can do it without endangering people, then we still have other options available to us.
Looks down at gun.
Maybe we can do both. We can
I think
bring down the tent and take another look at that book.
we don't know what we're dealing with, do we? We have no idea what element of this is crucial and which element is not, and if any even is.
Is anyone going to go inside is the question. Through gritted teeth.
Can't say I've had the best experience the last 2 times I entered one of the attractions of the circus.
I mean, hell, we could try and bring the damn thing down now, but I suppose
maybe they'll think it was the weather. Maybe.
Can we get a glimpse of? Can we look inside without? There are the doors, I guess, but those are going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah, from where we are, Jonny, are like the flats closed again now? Are there people at the doors waiting to admit other people? What's going on?
So the front one might still be open. That's the opposite side to where you are. Mm-hmm. But the 2 side ones and the rear entrance are all currently closed.
Okay.
You would imagine that they might have dropped all the doors because of the weather.
Anyone want to sneak in?
I can go. Maybe we need a sign, a signal. I could try to not go in, just look through and maybe try and establish what course of action we need to take.
Eliza's just going to pull out the magnifying glass real quick and just have a little look at through the big top and just see if she can see anything
Risky.
about the big top, or like see through it or anything. Just
This might be
silently.
the end of Eliza. Oh god.
No, you just see the big top. Sort of, it's moving about slightly in the wind, but yeah, nothing untoward.
I will put it back in the pocket, hoping no one saw me doing that.
Just out of interest, what sort of exotic animals did they have, and where are they in relation to the big top?
You saw a bear in a sort of an outside visible cage, and I think I maybe said another, like a tiger.
You said an elephant noise at one point.
Oh, did I say? Yeah, you heard an elephant noise as well. Yeah.
That's a serious amount of chaos.
That's a chaos we can't control. At least the tent will know what we've done, and people can get out.
True.
I think we need to know what we're dealing with, and I think the book may hold some clues there. I think we ought to try and take another look at that. But I think you're right, Mr. Moore. We've got to try and help these people. So perhaps two of us can look at the book, and two of us can try and do something about this tent.
Mr. Thomas, if you want to try and sneak in, you could give us like a word or something that you could yell out that wouldn't be suspicious, that we'd know was the sign to try and put a stop to things.
Okay.
And then I think after saying that, I kind of just go over to one of the nearest guy ropes and see if it looks like it's like, if I were to cut it, things would start to wobble.
There are quite a few, so probably if you did one, it wouldn't make that much difference to it.
Okay, but is it cuttable?
Yeah, you reckon you could probably get through it in sort of, I don't know, 30 seconds or something for each one. So if you did like a one side, you probably have done a decent.
Cool. Okay, I'll come back to the group then, a few steps away presumably, and just say that could be cut one side. I think there's a chance.
Well,
Let's just start, and if I give you the nod, start, and I will shout and scream and ask for people to leave, and hopefully we can get people out of here.
Okay.
Do you still want the book?
Does anybody want to take a look?
Is that better or worse to take in? I'm not sure.
I don't think we take that in.
No, I think we'd have to do that away.
I mean, part of the issue is we need to know what to look for. We're still missing too much information. What they're doing with this circus, what George Smith wants, what Sir John is trying to do. We're just missing too much information. But of course, the danger is that if we try to get it, then we get ensnared.
Perhaps we get everybody out of this tent, and then we confront Sir John. Maybe he isn't as twisted up in the. Maybe he's not so much the puppeteer here, and we can appeal to him. He may have more information. He may be able to just give us something.
Albert huffs. Either way, we need someone in there. Perhaps Mr. Thomas should.
Do we need somebody in there if we want to just bring down the whole tent?
You think we should do that now?
Can I hear anything through the side of the canvas if I go close to it?
You can hear the circus music, and you can hear sort of occasional gasps and claps at whatever is going on inside.
I'll kind of turn to the others and says, "Well, so it sounds normal so far, whatever that happens to mean."
If you want to go in, just keep your damn wits about you. Keep an eye on everything else. Try not to focus so much on him.
And if I don't come out in the next 3 or 4 minutes, just bring it down.
Okay.
I'll stay with you, Mr. Moore.
You better be prepared then. Let's start cutting a few ropes. They'll notice, but whatever happens, who cares now?
Okay. I guess Samuel kind of is going to go inside, just past the kind of flap of the tent, and just initially to stand there, being as inconspicuous as possible.
What's Edmund?
Okay.
I think if you seem to hesitate, Mr. Carter, I'll probably step over to you and say, "I'm an old man. I'm not sure how much more of this madness I can take, but I'm not sure he should go in there by himself."
No, I think you're probably right.
Tap you
I
on
will
the
go
shoulder.
after. I will go after Mr. Thomas.
Okay. Can you both make me stealth rolls?
You see,
please?
I knew this was going to happen.
You didn't have to listen to me.
No.
Both fails.
I rolled a 37. I needed under 20. 20.
Yeah, I rolled a 59. I needed under 20. I was considering spending luck, but not.
Okay.
No.
So you duck in through the doors, and you're kind of down the side of a set of row of seats, and Samuel feels a sort of tap on his arm to his right, and it's a drowned rat-looking Mary Brown, and she says, Mr. Thomas, oh, Mr. Carter, hello. There are seats in front of us. Why don't you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, sorry, we were just a little delayed. How far ahead of us are these seats, Jonny? They're not like right at the front row.
No, so she's basically there on the back row because they've got there late, and there's a couple of seats in front of the row in front of them.
Okay. I think Samuel will thank you and sit down. Do you want the aisle seat, Edmund? Or?
Oh, God, I hate this so much. Yes, I'll sit down. What could possibly go wrong?
Robert kind of slaps a big hand down on both of you, like each of your shoulders, and kind of gives you a shake as a hello. And then continues to cheer as an acrobat does like a flip through the air and grabs hold of another acrobat. He's louder than the rest of the noise of the circus to your ears.
And the place is full, is it?
It's relatively full. There's a few empty seats dotted around, but yeah, you figure probably the entire village is here.
Okay. Samuel's going to have a bit of a look at the roof of the tent. The tents have roofs. The roof of the tent to see if anyone started any work on it, basically, on the outside. If anything looks like it's kind of sagging.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think if you have a decent look, you can probably spot like one little bit has sort of dipped in slightly that would have been pulled taut previously.
Can we see Sir John anywhere? Is he with?
You cannot. So the Duchess, Thomas Walker, and Robert and Mary are sat behind you, and there is an empty seat to the right-hand edge of them.
Forgive me for asking, but do you know where Sir John is? Did he came back from you with the with you from the inn? I hope.
Oh yes, he ran off saying that he'd lost some glass that he wanted to. I don't know. Maybe his eyesight's really bad, and he was worried we'd be sat far back and wanted to be able to see the performance, like a monocular or something. I'm not Not sure.
Did he seem anxious?
Yes, although we stayed a little too long in the pub, and I think he was just concerned about getting back in time. Obviously, his friend, what's his name, Smith, I think, is supposed to be here, so maybe he was worried that he'd offend him if you were late. Although, obviously, with the weather, the show has started earlier even than we expected.
I shall, yes, I guess, turn around and glance at Samuel and...
It's just shaking his head generally.
So there's nothing else odd happening. It's just a nice acrobatics show. Please say there aren't anybody on high wires at the moment, like strung up between.
No, although there are acrobats swinging from things that are attached to the ceiling. Outside, Albert and Eliza hear a, "What on earth are you doing?" And Sir John is a few feet away from you. You haven't heard him due to the wind and rain, and he's kind of sauntered up. Willie looks incredibly concerned at this.
I think Albert looks up, sees Sir John, and mumbles something that no one can particularly hear and keeps cutting at the rope.
What's Eliza doing?
Probably a little bit frozen for a moment, just staring at Sir John for a split second. And then if he doesn't comment anything back when Albert turns around, I guess just, what are we doing? You have, how dare you ask us something like that? What on earth are you doing, Sir John?
Albert stops cutting at that moment and then stares at Sir John accusingly.
Look, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, but I'm not sure what that has to do with this. Look,
Sir John, you know exactly what we're talking about. We've seen mad things here, things that make no sense. This circus is mad. Everything is mad. We know. Now explain it.
I mean, I know that the man was a little abrupt, but I'm afraid
Albert's hand goes slowly down to his shotgun.
I'm afraid I don't really know what you're talking about, but I'm concerned that my friend Mr. Smith is going to arrive, and so I need to get inside. Please stop.
Was it you who had the magnifying glass on you, Eliza?
Yeah.
In that case, I might just look over at you and say, "You want to show him?"
I will pull out the magnifying glass and say, "We have seen impossible things, Sir John. Don't tell us that everything is just a bit odd, that things are normal. This is madness."
You have it.
I will put it back in my pocket.
I cock my shotgun like to make it so that it's loaded and pointed up, but not pointed at him.
Have you been looting through my things?
I don't know what we've seen, Sir John, but you have some explaining to do. Are all these people at risk?
Nobody is at risk, Miss Smith. What?
Not like your man who was lost in that hill fort. He wasn't at risk, was he? Nothing to do with you, I suppose.
Look, that is another matter. As far as I am aware, everybody at the circus is having a lovely time watching a circus show right now.
And it's perfectly normal for lions to walk on their hands, walk on their paws into your house and get shot. It's perfectly normal for this circus master to just not quite look right. Everything is perfectly normal about this circus, I'm sure you're certain.
Your colleague, Mr. Smith, He seems to be behind the circus, and he seems to be behind whatever the strange discovery you've got going on. I don't know. These things must be connected somehow. I don't know if he's the connection or if you're the connection, but there's something horrible going on here.
There's nothing horrible. It's amazing.
What is?
I think once Mr. Smith is here, everything will become clear, and you will no longer be angry with me.
No.
Give us any reason to trust you.
Enough of this waiting for Mr. Smith. We've been waiting for Mr. Smith for far too long, and all these awful things keep happening to us. No, we're not going to wait any longer. Tell us what's going on.
Look, if he's not in the circus now, I will tell you this evening. After the circus show. You have my word, Miss Smith.
I have no reason to believe that anything about what's going on in this circus is wholesome. I have no reason to want it to continue. Given that he's not kind of approaching me, I get my knife back out again and start cutting the rope again.
Okay. You notice that where you'd previously been cutting is no longer sliced.
Okay, I glance back at the other rope that I presumably have succeeded at cutting through by this point.
Yeah, they're all back.
Is that a sanity or is that not at this point?
I think you'd probably make a sanity roll at that. And Sir John is walking past you now and into the circus.
Oh, if I fail this sanity, this might go badly for Sir John. Well, lucky for him, I got a 2. I'm disappointed.
Betrayed by your dice.
Does that mean I presumably don't? Yeah, I presumably don't lose any sanity.
You don't lose any sanity, no.
Okay, in that case, all Albert does is scream at the top of his lungs.
When Sir John passed, did he come anywhere like close enough that I would be potentially concerned about whether there's been any pickpocketing going on?
No.
Or if I put my hand back in my pocket, do I feel the magnifying glass in there still?
Yeah.
What's Willie doing, presumably having also seen the ropes?
He's been kind of frozen in indecision for the last 5 minutes or so.
Cool.
Because you're obviously his boss, but the person whose land he is on has told you to stop. So he's kind of a little bit like, I'm not really sure what I should be doing here. And then at the point that he turns and sees that the ropes have reformed, having just kind of pulled himself back together, he's kind of frozen again, looking at the ropes.
Wait a minute. Sir John saw me cutting the rope and then wandered by happily, knowing that it was all fine. So he knows exactly what he's got. Oh, Jesus Christ. Did Sir John walk off happily sauntering past?
He kind of stormed away.
Did he definitely do that upon seeing the rope? Was okay.
No.
Okay.
It was just as you turned and went to go start cutting again, he walked off.
Okay. I think Albert, after screaming, just kind of sits down slightly defeated in the mud.
What do we do? What can we do?
Don't think Albert replies. You're not even sure he might actually be sobbing.
We need to get them out of there.
We do.
They could be anywhere. Maybe we just have to hope that they come out. They were only going to go in for a moment. He said if they don't come out in the next few minutes, they were planning to come back out.
I've only felt this powerless once before in my life.
I think Eliza will join Albert, just sat in the mud, staring at the tent for a wee bit.
So Samuel and Edmund hear a couple of sort of murmurs of hello and murmurs of greeting behind them. And if you turn and look, Sir John is sitting himself down in the seat that's there. The 2 seats next to you two remain empty.
So he's come through the entrance where Samuel knows Eliza and Albert are, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think I'll turn to a whisper to Edmund. They must have seen him. Maybe they've spoken to him.
The ringmaster appears down next to your row of seats. Go on, Sam.
I yelled absolutely at the top of my lungs when the rope had repaired. Would that have been audible from the inside? Out of curiosity, it might be not. I'm just
probably not. The sound of the music is quite loud, and claps and cheers of the crowd. Yeah. So the ringmaster is walking down the aisle next to your chairs and lifts the flap at the side of the tent slightly and says, "Miss Smith, Mr. Moore, please come inside out of the rain." And then drops the flap and walks back into the circus.
Oh god.
I don't think Eliza will even look at Albert just yet. I think just slowly shake her head.
I think that is enough for Albert to stand up, hand his gun to Willie, march inside, and say to Willie, "Don't go in that circus. Just get out of here. Just leave. Promise me that."
But sir...
Just leave. And then marches inside before he has a chance to argue.
You best do as he says, Willie. And Eliza will follow into the tent too.
Sorry, Eliza.
Leaving Willie stood outside in the rain alone.
I'll maybe wait to see Willie start moving away from the tent before heading in, but yeah, then I'll head in.
Okay. You see Edmund and Samuel sat at the end of a row, sort of one row in front of the back.
Albert will walk past you dripping in mud and rain and not holding a shotgun and sit next to whichever one of you is in that row, I guess, not saying anything, looking probably like you've never seen him, like utterly crushed.
Where is Sir John directly behind us? Where is...
He's on the row behind you, yeah. So he's kind of one seat further along than the furthest person on your row. But yes,
Right.
essentially directly behind you.
I take it things didn't work out.
You don't get a reply from me.
You all start to hear from behind you a which, in spite of how loud the circus music is and the claps and cheers, seems to cut through all of that and bury itself inside your brains a little. Do you want to make a sanity roll?
I'd love to, Jonny.
Fail.
Fail.
How much luck do I have?
You can't luck sanity, I think.
You can't look sanity.
Oh no!
And that's a fail.
I pass.
Okay.
Edmund's cool with this.
If you fail, you lose one. Which for Eliza is enough, I believe, to knock her to a 5th for the day.
You've been plotting this, Jonny, haven't you?
Yep.
I mean, I've been reading up on my sanity rules. That doesn't mean I've been plotting it. Okay. Eliza suddenly becomes convinced that from the back of the person's head who sat in front of her, that it's George Fuller, her fiance, like you are 100% convinced that your fiance George Fuller is sat in front of you.
I think I will jump up out of my seat and try and run around to the front to see him.
Yep.
I'm pulling out the ring that has been on a necklace hidden beneath clothing to pull out and wear again.
Yep, it's George Fuller. But as you pull out the ring, he says, "I'm sorry, I don't think I know you."
It's me. Where have you been all this time?
What do you?
What
I'm
are you
sorry.
doing? What are you doing here? You've got to get out, please. We can get away.
He turns around and says, "Are you with this young lady? I'm sorry, I don't know her. There must have been some kind of mistake."
I might jump up and Miss Smith, please.
No.
Can you come over here, please? Look at me.
No, George, please, George, don't. What do you say? Please. We've got to get out of here, George, please.
I think Samuel would want Edmund maybe help. Is Edmund trying to get her out of the tent?
Well, yeah.
As you are being moved away, you glance back again, and it is definitely not George Fuller.
Why do these things keep happening to us? No. And she will just sob for a little bit to herself.
Yeah, I think
Albert is staring very fixedly, like straight ahead, trying not to like pay attention to anything going on there.
Suddenly, there is silence. Complete silence. The rain and wind gone. Circus music stopped. No audience making any noise. And you hear, now the main event. The announcement you've all been waiting for, and that Sir John has been too selfish to share with all of you. Sir John then, you hear a chair scrape and Sir John stand and say, "No, look, we've been waiting for George Smith. You have to wait for George Smith as well." And then he says, "Sir John, why don't you come down here and we'll make the announcement together?" Is anybody looking at anybody else in the crowd?
Samuel's
Like,
looking.
are you
at the
looking
exit.
around at all, or are you okay?
He's taking a look behind him, as if, yeah. Can I get out of here?
Yeah, so Edmund will have tried to get Eliza to somewhere near the door at least. So trying to sort of, act as a shield, sort of protect her from the interior of the circus. So I guess my back will be mostly towards the whatever's going on. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'll be looking around a little bit, but mostly focused on trying to keep Miss Smith safe.
So anybody looking at any audience members will see that they are basically fixed, looking straight ahead, not moving, almost trance-like.
Despite the fact that Albert presumably isn't in said trance, if anyone looks at Albert, it looks like he is.
Okay. Sir John starts moving his way towards the center of the circus, and the ringmaster, as he's walking down, kind of peers around at all of you and sort of your section of the crowd and says, "Huh, more of you than I thought." And Sir John gets to the center of the big top, and his back is to you, kind of facing the ringmaster, and he says, "George Smith will have words for you when he gets here." And the ringmaster kind of, he's very tall, and he kind of lowers himself so that he's like face height with John Smith. So you can't see his face either. And he says, "But John, I've been here the whole time." And Sir John goes, "No, it's not possible. No. But that means the book and the spells that... No." And you see him reach down, pull out a pistol. And he collapses to the floor in the center of the big top.
Samuel's going to run to the exit.
Okay.
I won't know otherwise. And try and get out.
Albert doesn't move a muscle, other than maybe faintly smiling.
I think the mention of the book and the spells and then the gunshot will have had Eliza look up and just take in her surroundings, see where she is. If she sees Samuel running, might also try to follow, depending on where she is and if that's possible, where she's been dragged to.
Yeah, you're all near that same door. As you are approaching the door, you hear a very loud sort of insectile buzzing noise from outside.
Maybe we won't head outside then. to the door, hear that, and just freeze again.
Yeah, I guess Samuel is now frozen, sort of looking at that door, maybe then turns around. Yeah, just stuck on the periphery.
Miss Smith, can I have that lens, please?
What? Yeah, take the damn thing.
Someone has to do this.
Throw it at you.
And I will look at the ringmaster through the lens.
Okay.
Jackpot.
You see countless shifting faces. Ones that you see that you know range from the ringmaster to the hare, and then something the shape of which you don't really understand, and you suddenly have a realization that one of the spells in the book was to call this thing. And I'm going to need a sanity roll, please.
46. that is a pass for
Okay.
what merits a pass in this situation.
Okay. 5 sanity loss,
Oh.
which is a temporary insanity.
What was a fail? Oof.
Is this one of those ones where you can roll intelligence and try and not comprehend things, or is that something else? I think I know who I've seen.
I
think that would be even less fair given you've already read the book, though.
Yeah, you're basically frozen for a moment. But yeah, I think you can make an intelligence roll.
Sucks that I rolled a character with really high int. But let's give it a go. Oh, geez, yeah. I have to roll under 85. I guess. No, over 85 to fail this. And I roll a 5, so no, I totally comprehend this.
Okay. Yeah, so you are basically catatonic at the moment. You kind of slump down to the floor and are just staring off into the distance. And yeah, so that's what happens to Edmund. What's everybody else doing?
I see him slump down. I think I will shout, Edmund, and like run up to him, just try and like hold him so he doesn't totally collapse and knock his head or whatever. And if I spot the magnifying glass, if he's dropped it, take it away and shove it into a pocket. So it's no risk of seeing something funny.
So, yeah, sure. Is there still the insectile noise coming from out the tent door?
Quite a loud buzzing.
All right.
Yeah, quite oppressive.
So that Samuel will sort of run over to Edmund and Eliza if they're together, and then try and gather Eliza's attention and say, oh, Miss Smith, your gun. Do you have it with you?
Yes, I am, and I'll pull it out and give it to Samuel.
So, is Albert responding to any of this, or just
Albert's kind of away from everyone because he's still in the seat, and
he's still sat in his chair. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit away from you. You could try and get my attention. If you're wondering what Albert's doing, Albert is staring straight ahead, just like everyone else. But in his hand, he's like holding the knife that his son gave him, and vaguely thinking about his family.
So Samuel's hand is kind of shaking as he's holding the pistol, and he's looking between Albert and the door. Does he have time to run over to where Albert is?
Yeah. So the ringmaster is kind of pacing over to your end of the circus now. In that kind of, it's uncanny in the way that sort of a horror movie bad guy will always walk and catch up to the running. So he's walking, but he's sort of covering more ground than you think he really should be based on the steps that he's taking.
Okay. So Samuel's...
But yeah, I mean, Albert's only sort of 10 feet away from you. So
okay.
Yeah.
Samuel's kind of shaking, holding the gun, and he's going to run up to Albert and try and push the gun into his hand. Because take the damn shot, man. Take the shot.
What is the ringmaster? What does the ringmaster seem to be doing? Does he seem to be walking directly over towards like...
Yes, he's walking over towards the exit that everybody is sort of formed around.
I think Albert kind of mutters, "There's no point."
Just do it. Just like still trying to shove it into his hand.
Albert's hand is not open. Well, Albert's hand is firmly clasped over the knife.
So Samuel's going to look back to Eliza and Edmund. Do either of them look to be any more?
Eliza is sort of there. Edmund is not. He's literally just still staring off into middle distance. Eliza is aware of what's going on around her to a degree, as upset as she is.
And sorry, remind me, is this like a revolver, or is it you get one go? Or Samuel might not know looking at it, to be honest.
It's a handgun, so I think it has. Oh, what? How do I know how many shots it's got? I don't know guns.
Depends what sort of handgun.
I've got your character sheet open. What let's have a look. It's a Derringer handgun.
It'll be a 1 or 2 then.
Yeah.
It says attacks 1, ammo 1.
1, yeah.
Yeah, it's a single bullet in there.
And also it's about as effective as punching someone. Being a Derringer, it's about this big.
Yeah.
Okay, Samuel is going to keep hold of the gun, but he's literally just like holding it, not as if you're about to shoot it, but just holding it like an object. He's going to run back to Eliza and Edmund and grab them both and try and pull them towards the door. And say, let's go, we have to go, we have to go.
Albert, by the way, through all this, has been trying to not move at all to make himself kind of seem like the rest of the audience. Not particularly hard, but he's been trying to do that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Jonny.
Yeah, that's what I figured when you said that he was staring straight ahead.
So when Samuel did that, then I didn't really respond in a perceivable way.
Yeah. Are you going to open the tent flap?
Are Eliza and Edmund trying? Are they making any
I think Edmund's cast
sign of sort of coming? So Edmund's cast on, so he's not engaged. Is Eliza looking like she's wanting to move, or?
I think just looking wildly around, trying to make any kind of sense of this, like not really sure what to do, like not wanting to leave Albert, looking back to Albert, not wanting to leave Edmund on his own, wanting to get out of that. Yeah, totally torn. Could go either way. No definitive movements in any particular direction.
Okay, so Samuel is gonna raise. He's gonna put the gun back into his hand as if, like, almost like he doesn't really know exactly what to do, but just kind of hold it as if he's seen someone do it before, and then hold it up towards the ringmaster and pull the trigger.
Okay. Do you want to make a roll on your firearms handgun stat skill even?
So that is a 20, and I need a 20 or under. 81. So I definitely didn't pass that.
You are not sure whether or not you hit, because I think probably the action of doing this, to you, once you've pulled the trigger, you're probably out for a second. But you see a smile that is slightly too big for his face form on the ringmaster as he continues to walk towards you. And he's now probably 5 steps away from you.
Is he coming right past me?
Yes.
Does he not seem to at all react to me?
He doesn't react to you, no.
Okay. I'm pretty close, so at the second he's closest to me, he's going to be Albert makes a frantic lunge to try and stab the knife in his neck.
Okay. Yeah, make a brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Roll.
I succeed.
Okay. You feel the knife go in.
Albert already knows this isn't going to work, just to clarify.
It doesn't feel exactly like you would expect it to feel, probably. I would imagine that Edmund has probably sort of like gutted animals that he's hunted and things like that to prep them. It doesn't feel like that. It's more like going through water almost. And while that's happening, Eliza and Edmund near the door. Edmund not aware of it, obviously, but a large sort of insectile leg starts to poke through the circus door. And is Eliza's back to the door or front to the door?
However, Edmund fell. I think maybe trying to hold him. So, I mean, she would have gone running up towards him. So maybe. Probably facing.
Yeah, you were facing
sideways.
the door, weren't you? With Edmund?
Yeah, maybe turned a bit sideways to try and support him a bit. So
okay, so yeah, you kind of see out of the corner of your vision this long insectile leg start to work its way through the door.
Albert is just frantically continuing to stab if he can do.
Okay,
even though it's just water.
The ringmaster kind of turns quite slowly his head towards you. And then kind of lifts both of his arms up. And suddenly Albert is flung to the floor, not by his hands. You feel a shape come crashing into the side of you and slam you down to the floor. As his hands kind of close in the space where you were, with a force that you're pretty certain would have crushed your skull had you still been there.
Interesting. Okay.
And then you hear a shuffling and a gunshot. I think Samuel probably needs to make a sanity roll for the him firing the gun and this. And just one for the both, I meant, not make two. Eliza probably sees the ringmaster shape kind of stumble forward a step at the impact of a shot connecting. And then you hear a voice say, look, they're no good to you dead. I know your game. And standing to her feet next to Albert is Mary Brown.
Okay.
And the ringmaster turns and looks at her and says, yes, I didn't account for you.
I failed my sanity check, by the way.
Okay, just one sanity for the gun firing.
Am I all good with the stabbing through water thing? I'm guessing, or
I think Albert,
he's expected something weird when this was happening with the stabbing.
There's an interesting point that I feel that you reach in sanity where, like, almost Albert seems to be aware of his mental state and therefore might write some stuff off as, I might be imagining this because I know that I'm not currently okay. So there's a level of stuff that I'm kind of writing off for Albert. And Mary says, I know how to get rid of you. Why don't you just go and take your things with you? And the slightly too large smile on the ringmaster's face grows a little more. And he says, no, I think I'd like to see you try. And she reaches into her bag and pulls out the book. And opens it. And you all hear the And the smile on the ringmaster's face shrinks ever so slightly. And he says, "Fine. But I'll see you again, Mary Brown. And probably the rest of you." And he walks straight out of the circus door, past Eliza and Edmund, paying them no mind. And then there is a large rising scream from everybody in the audience as they come back around and see Sir John lying dead in the center of the circus. And she gives Albert a hand up, and runs over and grabs her husband, and then runs round to all of you and says, "We must go."
Go with Mary.
And says, "Robert, help Edmund up." And if everybody is following, then you all
I'll be
leave
trying
the
to drag
circus.
Edmund as well. Gratefully receiving Robert's help.
And as you get outside, Willie is still standing there. And she shouts, "Willie, go and get the cart."
I
And
just
he
nod.
goes, yes, of course. And runs off, still holding two shotguns. The screams and noises of upset and fear from inside continue as you all kind of stumble through the wind and rain again towards the castle, until eventually you meet up around the front of the castle with the carriage, and kind of squeeze everybody in or on the carriage. Edmund obviously being given sort of prime position to make sure that he's inside, given his state. And the cart, unless anybody has any objection, pulls away from the castle.
Definitely no objections.
Don't think any of us say a single damn thing, do we?
Well, I certainly don't.
Mary Brown says, "I think if none of you have a problem with it, I will keep hold of this book. I have a colleague who I think may be able to look after it for me. He
I think I'll kind of go the magnifying glass.
Here, do you need this as well?
Oh, is this what Sir John was looking for?
We found the book. How do you have it?
I do some work with an organization, and well, once I realized that was here, I was keeping tabs on its whereabouts, and well, Mr. Moore, I'm afraid that the locks on your carriage are relatively easy to get through. It's for somebody who knows what they're doing.
Albert laughs somewhat awkwardly.
Yes.
All the wrong hands that we've fallen into. I'm glad they fell into yours.
No doubt.
Well, look, I know it's easy for me to say now, but I would try and put all of this behind you. I have, for those of you who need it, I have train tickets here to get you home this evening.
But all of what behind us? What is this?
Hopefully, in future, you will view it as just a bad dream, Miss Smith.
Samuel's going to look at Miss Smith and just say, nobody will believe us.
I look at Mary after maybe having a moment and just be like, will my guns work as they did now?
Yes, Mr. Moore, although hopefully you'll have no need to use them other than for sport now.
Hopefully. You shot it.
Yes. It didn't really do anything other than get its attention, I'm afraid, but that was all I needed. Stop it from doing anybody any damage.
What was it? Why were we called here? What is all of this?
I'm afraid that Sir John became wound up with things that he didn't really understand. And, well, this happens from time to time, and so far, the world hasn't ended.
So far.
I could really use another drink.
Have you still got any in the bottle?
I think the bottle got dropped with the leap, sadly.
Yeah.
I think Albert maybe reaches a shaking hand into like his breast pocket to try and find a cigar and finds they're all dripping wet and just looks sad.
I'll maybe grab I'll grab my cigarette case where hopefully they're still dry inside and offer you a cigarette instead.
Okay, I'll take a cigarette. Look at it somewhat oddly and then.
You may notice GF and ES engraved on the cigarette case.
She says, look, here's a train ticket for each of you. And for those of you who are still in employ, I would recommend that you take a little time to yourselves. So in the envelope, there's also a small amount of money to see you until you feel well enough again. The amount in Mr. Carter's envelope is obviously slightly more than in Mr. Thomas and Miss Smith's. Mr. Moore, I presume that you don't need any recompense.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to have a nice bottle of whiskey sent to you.
You say who you work for. I know there's no point asking. Why us? Are you likely to be seeing us again?
I'm afraid it may have just been coincidence or fate in this instance that brought your group here. As far as Sir John were concerned, he really was asking people from, journalists, scientists, and investors here to promote what he thought was some kind of technological breakthrough, but was actually something that, forces outside of our understanding tricked him into doing, I think.
Where are you going now?
Home, Miss Smith. I need to try and convince my lovable but completely ignorant husband that I was sat next to him the whole time and nothing else was going on.
Is he in it right now, Jonny?
He's sat on the front of the carriage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just your group that is in earshot right now.
I fear I greatly underestimated you, Mary. An apology.
If people underestimate me, Mr. Moore, that means I'm doing my job well.
Well, congratulations. You're doing it very well.
Forgive me for asking, but are you still planning to run for office?
We'll see about that. Anyway, to set your mind at ease, my colleague will be taking care of the book, and well, he lives in a small Scottish village out of the way. I'm sure it'll be very safe there. And that's us.
That was intense.
Oh, that was such an intense ending, you maniac.
Oh my god.
We almost ran away from the circus.
The last, I could imagine. The last 45 minutes of that, like once we were in the circus, was just insanity. Oh, that was... I'm so
We
like...
really tried not to go to the circus.
We really did.
Tried.
I really enjoyed Johnny's end, just like, nah, there's no point. Nah, you've got no hope.
We didn't stand a chance, did we?
No, we didn't. Oh, I just want to say, Eliza. Sorry, I've called you Eliza now. That's why you roleplayed it, Inga. Your play of the break. Oh, that was so good. Your mental break was.
It was. It was.
I wasn't
wonderful.
expecting that to come up. I'd almost forgotten.
Oh.
It was one of those things where I was like, I better have a look through my character sheet again. It's been a little while since I put on the background.
No, that was just beautiful. Really well done.
Oh, thank you.
If anybody has questions or comments, please put them in the chat. John can put them on screen for us. We've finished slightly early, so we could have a bit of a discussion around a couple of bits if anybody wanted any sort of more in-depth answers than we might usually give. That is the end of this arc. So next week will be, depending on who comes through to the next story out of existing Call of Cthulhu players, because it'll be set after both of these. Next week will either be character creation or sort of character upskilling based on people's ticks. So the week after that, we'll start the next arc, which will be the 19th. So that will be exciting. Don't know what it'll be called yet. I know what the story setup is. So
I was going to say, no, you have no idea what's going to happen yet. Yeah.
So for anybody who's interested, because the first story was based around something that actually happened. So was this one.
Oh.
I'm worried that by revealing that all of these things are based on things that actually happened, if somebody wanted spoilers for the third season, they could start Googling names and trying to find out who's real. There was a Sir John Stewart who owned Fingask Castle and was a whiskey distiller, and he got in a lot of debt to John Rowlett, and was found in his castle having killed himself.
So there was no circus in that story.
There was no circus in the real life story, as far as I'm aware.
If you told me there was a circus in that real story, I would have just lost my mind. So.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes, unlike Darkwood, this storyline, it wasn't the creepiest bit of it that was real. That was the good bit about Darkwood. But yes, that was wonderfully played by everybody. So thank you
that was fun.
For that. It was great.
I love it when the insectoid legs coming in from outside the tent, and you're like, oh dear, there's no going back now, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
After the first couple of sessions, Steve was messaging me to say what he thought was going on, what he thought might be going on.
Yeah, totally not at all. Well,
although there was links. Yeah.
If you'd all seen the circus, I'd have been pretty impressed.
Yeah.
I kind of liked how Sorry, Jonny.
Oh, thanks, mate. No questions. Just want to congratulate the crew on bringing those damaged characters to life. The ending was intense. Thanks, Wendelius.
That was super intense.
Yes, it went well. It's really scary always coming into an ending, worrying about how it's going to go. So I think it came off okay, which is nice.
I don't know whether
Matt, what were you going to say?
I don't know if I'm more afraid or not. Like with Mary, like if she does want to run for office and things like that, like she has access to this sort of thing. Now I'm a bit like totally in awe of her, but also like maybe one to keep an eye on.
I'm having Charles Stross crossover sort of flashbacks now. The Laundry series, Eldritch sort of prevention bureau sort of thing. It's fascinating.
I was just going to say, Jonny, I liked how when we were discussing what we were going to do as a group, even the most extreme solution that was presented would not have helped even the slightest. Like it wasn't nearly sufficient to make any difference. So we were just totally impotent at the end, really.
We would do.
I
had a fun. Go on. I was just saying, I had a fun moment where, like, I was playing Albert and I was thinking about all the crazy plots he's done. He's drunk and he's just like basically had enough. And like his thing is fated. And I was just like, he clearly believes for certain that he has to end this. And then like the best idea we had for ending it. And then like it just clearly hasn't come off at all. It's hopeless. And then the ringmasters come out and just be like, "You're coming in now." I'm just like, I guess that's what it is then. So I just dragged Eliza in, just like, yeah, okay. That's got to be the answer, I suppose.
There's no way Eliza would have been the first one to walk in if you hadn't gone in. And
I do have so many questions. It's always one of those awkward things about how many questions about the storyline one asks.
Not until the end of the third one arc.
Perhaps I'll keep quiet then.
What was going to happen if we didn't go to the tent? Like, were you just going to make us go into the tent? Was that because obviously that's a GM thing?
I could never make you go into the tent. Once some people had gone into the tent, I was like, "This is fine."
Yeah, it's the weight of plot. There is
anymore.
It's one thing being as a player, you kind of feel you have to trip the trap. You can't just there's plot on the table. You can't just not stay away from the plot. You've got to poke it a little bit.
When you see a big red button, it's got to get pushed.
Yeah, or a weird, monstrous eldritch entity to look at through a spyglass.
Yeah. You've either got to push the button or look at it through a magnifying glass. One or the other. Maybe both.
I'm really intrigued about what happened to Thomas. As in, like, presumably he's some kind of instrument in the technology. They're using him for something in terms of how the technology works. But I guess we'll never know.
Oh, Thomas that got sent off.
Yeah, him and Agnes.
That I didn't really get a proper chance to close that off, so I can tell you if you want, because it's not.
Yes,
it's not any reliant on any of the plot. Basically, this is poor writing and performance on my part that I didn't weave it in. But basically, he was made redundant by Sir John. And when Sir John was making people redundant, he was giving them a little bit of a payout for them to stay quiet. He said that he wasn't going to stay quiet and threatened to go to the papers. So Sir John organised with the powers to have him taken away.
So how and why did he come back?
Interesting why he came back.
I think you guys are continuing to talk about plot, whereas I was just sitting there thinking like, oh, Agnes chose well. She chose a principled man. He wouldn't take the payout.
It was so good, though. It was really, really good.
Thanks. It was made by everybody. So
was there ever any like intention for us to use the book to like unsummon the being creature thing, or was that beyond your wildest dreams?
You could have if you'd wanted to. That was never particularly my plan.
Yeah, because we didn't just screw up and not figure that part out. Then that's all right.
No, but yes, you could have if you'd chosen to.
Would it have helped?
It might have brought the story forward.
I'm really intrigued as to why Mary kind of just threatened whatever it was, rather than like she didn't sort of like just send it away, vanquish it immediately. She was kind of more just like behave yourself and simmer down, and there's got to be a reason for that. But
yeah, I'm really hoping this is carried on in the third arc. I've got to say,
yeah,
I'm now invested in this secret bureau for world protection.
Well, given that she's given the book to some funny village, I'm not sure if it's like a really established bureau sort of thing.
This is true, yeah.
Side note, what happened to the MSP lady? The MSP lady?
I think that's Mary, right?
No, the Duchess. Because she was recently elected, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, she's come away with everybody at the end. She was in the crowd with Robert.
Oh no!
Such.
Oh,
it's okay. I'm still here. Nothing eldritch.
Presumably, she was one of the ones who was screaming a lot.
No, she came away with you all. So she was with Robert and Thomas Walker and everybody. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So Mary kind of dragged the whole group away.
I see.
Because as far as you're all aware, everybody else is villagers. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe she didn't want anybody to know that this event had even happened, and that any of you were here.
I think this is a great point to point out as well. Anyone who's watching this who's only tuned into this arc, you've got to go and watch the first arc now.
It was quite
implications for that.
Yeah, it was quite different to play too.
Yes, yeah, they turned out really differently, which is nice. I'm looking forward to doing the third one. Are there any other questions or comments, John? Or has anybody got any more that they want to ask or say? Have any players got anything? John, do you have anything that you want to ask or say?
I do, and it was slightly too involved to put into chat, so I thought I'd abuse my power and come on and ask it.
Okay.
It's all right for some.
Sam and Matt, having played in both Fingask and Darkwood, how do you think the two? How are they comparing? How are the experiences comparing to you?
I mean, they were definitely very different. There's no doubt about that.
So I think for me, like, the first arc was basically the first, other than one shot, the first role playing I'd done for like 15 years or something stupid. So I was kind of finding my feet a little bit, I think, at the beginning. But I feel like the first arc was very much hinging on trusting people. My character was very back and forth on trusting a variety of people, and there was a lot of that was the kind of intrigue for me. This one was more like, I feel like Samuel we just didn't trust anybody, but then just kind of chaos unraveled. And so they had a very different feel in a way, but a lot of the same kind of themes, obviously, kind of coming through in terms of that sort of rural environment. And so they definitely share the same sort of bloodline, but I like that there was a different energy, quite kind of a very different energy in both, because then it felt like we weren't retreading the same beats.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, that lion came up and the circus arrived.
Yeah. There was definitely no crossover in the feel of that.
So we've not done this before. This is new territory. But I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. But I think it's credit to Jonny that they did feel sufficiently different to feel quite different to play, but obviously still be very linked.
Utterly different, yeah. It was interesting because I think the first one, the whole thing felt really like a mystery. Exactly as Matt said, it was all like, figuring out who might be the culprit, who we could trust, who we couldn't trust, and going in and out, sneaking in the right areas and stuff like that. And there was some of that in this one, but this one was much more like a horror, a chaotic horror show where it's just like freakish things are happening. Our characters are just like losing their minds around every corner. Even like for Albert, even quite early on, like seeing like the animal dash into the hill fort and stuff was already like, that was like at the end. It was like early on, maybe second session, I think. Anyway. But yeah, that was like already going crazy. it was really interesting as well because it just so happened that it really suited my two characters. Because Jemima in the first one was like all about the whole thing, was figuring out exactly what was going on. That is exactly what her character was. Whereas Albert was more just like, this is all madness. I hate it. Let's stop it now, please. And didn't really care about the truth of it too much for the whole thing. So, funnily enough, it was fun and gratifying to play the two characters. Also, playing the two of them was a very different experience for me, which was quite fun. I imagine you'll say the same, Matthew, because Samuel was just like no one trusted, super dodgy folk.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, when Delius put that in as well, I love how he trusted Samuel in the early episodes, how to be suspicious while trying to help.
That was so good. The sneaking, I still can't go over the sneaking after Agnes.
That was
that was great.
beautiful. Yeah.
I don't think we have anything else from chat.
Cool. Shall I do a recap on stream things?
Yeah, go for it. And maybe say when the new series is starting.
Yeah, so Tuesday nights, Blades in the Dark. Wednesday nights, Coriolis. Every other Sunday, with the next one being the 18th of July, is Simba Room on the Free League Twitch, our little guest spot. The first Saturday of every month is a different one-shot adventure. So the next one is the 7th of August, I think, and that is the new One Ring system. Matt's going to be running that. Not this Matt, the other Matt. So that's going to be nice. And the first episode of the third and final arc of Call of Cthulhu for this anthology is going to start on the 19th of July, so 2 weeks today. It's going to be really exciting. And some characters from the first season may reappear, and some from this season may reappear, and there may be new characters. Nobody knows yet. I would like to say a massive thank you to John for stream managing for this season, and to Matt, Sam, Inga, and Steve for helping make the story. Quite a lot of what has happened. You should all get nice and distinct stage names. You confuse me. Sorry, Wendelius.
I was there first.
I'll come up with something more unusual. Sorry, man.
Got all those Ingas. God.
Yeah, quite a lot of what has happened has come off the back of decisions made by characters. So it wouldn't have been the same story without you in the most sincere way. Even though my voice always sounds sarcastic unless I'm putting the voice on. I can do sincerity in like rural Scottish accents, but not in my own voice. It's a curse.
I'm looking forward to that chat we do when we figure out like all the bits of the story that followed how. And it's so exciting, the concept already. Later. But. And also thank you, Jonny, for running an amazing game and setting it all up.
Thank you, Jonny.
I'm glad you've all enjoyed it. It's been loads of fun. So we'll catch you all back here on the 19th. Try not to go mad in remote Scottish villages. That's my hint of the week.
Always good advice.
Probably easy for most people, but not everyone. So, yeah, catch you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.